Your parents dreamed of owning a house. You dream of not being stuck with one. For them, ownership meant success. For you, it often feels like a trap. Welcome to the rent generation, where freedom matters more than furniture and flexibility has become the new form of wealth. If you are born between the late 90s and early 2000s, you have grown up watching the old world crumble and a new one form. Your parents worked decades for the dream home. They saved, sacrificed, and finally built that house brick by brick because that was the finish line. But you have watched global markets rise and fall, startups appear and vanish, and whole careers become obsolete in a few years. So when someone tells you to take a 20-year home loan, your instinct whispers, why anchor myself when the world itself is moving? Let's face it, the math of owning things has changed. Why buy a car when you can rent one? Why own an apartment when you can live anywhere your Wi-Fi connects? Why collect books, CDs or DVDs when it all lives on your phone? Earlier generations celebrated ownership, but Gen Z celebrates access. You don't want to own the mountain, you just want the view. When you want it, how you want it. And honestly, that's not irresponsibility, it's optimization. The world has taught you to be agile, not attached. Gen Z has seen uncertainty like no other generation. You saw your parents worry during 2008. You saw the job market shrink during the pandemic. You have lived through inflation and layoffs and AI shaking up careers. So, you learned early that stability is not always safe. Instead, you found stability in skills, not in stuff. For you, investing in the stock market or mutual funds or even a startup idea feels more sensible than pouring every rupee into walls and windows. Renting gives you liquidity. Owning ties you down. And when you can earn from anywhere, why stay tied to one postal address? There's also something deeper here about identity. Earlier, a person's status was visible through what they owned. The car in the driveway, the TV in the living room, the sofa set that screamed Italian leather. But Gen Z doesn't need furniture to feel seen. You built your digital identity, your style, your playlists, your stories, all floating in the cloud. You can move cities, switch jobs, change hairstyles, even reinvent your personality, all without losing your sense of self. Your parents own to feel secure. You rent to stay free. I was in Bangalore a while ago for a housewarming function. The house was splendid, sprawling, sunlit, filled with warmth and pride. You could feel the owner's joy, that deep sense of accomplishment that comes from saying, "This is mine." And as I stood in their balcony, I could not help but wonder, would Gen Z spend so much of time, energy, and emotion in getting such a house constructed and then maintaining it? I doubt it. Not because they are lazy or restless, but because they see time differently. To them, the world outside that house, the freedom to move, to experiment, to live many lives before settling down, that's what feels alive. It's not that Gen Z doesn't value homes, they just value options more. In some ways, renting is not just a financial choice, it's a philosophy of living. You rent homes, but also experiences. You subscribe to content, not channels. You share rights, tools, and sometimes even dreams. You're not anti-ownership, you are just pro-flexibility. And if we are honest, this mindset is reshaping industries. Look at Furlenco and Rentomojo. They took something once seen as deeply personal, like furniture, and turned it into a service. Why buy a 2 lakh sofa when you can rent a designer one for just 700 rupees a month and swap it out whenever you move? Why stress about resale when you can upgrade with a click? These companies did not just sell convenience, they sold freedom. They understood that Gen Z doesn't want to drag a truckload of belongings across cities every time they change jobs. They want homes that move as easily as their playlists. This is not just an Indian story. In New York, Tokyo, or Berlin, young people are trading permanence for possibility. They rent tiny apartments but own large dreams. They lease cars but invest in crypto. They don't want the burden of ownership when they can have the benefit of access. And it is spreading fast across culture, cities, even relationships. We are moving from forever to for now. But here's the catch. Beneath this freedom lies a quiet tension. Because while owning less brings flexibility, it sometimes brings fragility. That rented flat can be taken away. That subscription can expire. That co-working desk is not really yours. And sometimes, amidst all the movement, there is a longing for roots, for something that stays. So yes, freedom feels great, but stability still has a quiet pull. That's why, even in Gen Z, you will find a few who still dream of that one corner in the world that is truly theirs. In India, this conversation hits differently. Our culture still celebrates ownership. Buying your own house is a ritual of arrival. Parents beam with pride. Relatives call to congratulate. Society treats this as a mark of being settled. But Gen Z is rewriting that script. For them, a rented studio in Bangalore with good Wi-Fi and a coffee shop nearby might feel more home than a 4-bedroom flat in the suburbs. And companies like Rentomojo and Furlenco are making that possible. Not just by renting furniture, but by renting freedom. A generation that switches jobs every 2 years doesn't want to invest in beds, washing machines, or dining tables. They would rather invest in experiences. They would rather spend on a weekend trek in Coorg than on a center table. They would rather upgrade their laptop than repaint their walls. Their version of security is not a dead paper, it's mobility. So, what does wealth mean to Gen Z? Not square footage, not the number of cars, not the weight of gold. Wealth today is control over your time. It's the ability to say, I can work from Goa for a month. It's the power to switch careers at 25. It's the choice to rent a new experience instead of owning an old one. That's not being careless, that's being conscious. And maybe, just maybe, every generation has something to learn from the other. The older generation can teach patience, perseverance, and the joy of building something that lasts. Gen Z can teach adaptability, openness, and the courage to not cling. Maybe the future lies somewhere in between, where ownership is not an obsession and freedom isn't fleeting, where we build but lightly, where we own but without being owned by what we own. So next time someone says, why don't you buy a house? You can smile and say, because I am still building myself. Maybe this rent generation is not running away from roots. Maybe they are growing them differently. Because for them, the world itself is home. Freedom, flexibility, fluidity. This is not a rejection of the past. It's a redesign of the future. Welcome to the rent generation. Thank you so much for your time. I hope you liked it. Until I see you again, bye bye.